Hi everyone, Kim here at Olive City Homestead. I am in Northern California, Zone 9B, and this is my permaculture homestead. I like to share easy gardening and homestead ideas here. I also share a lot of recipes by which I use and preserve the fruits and veggies that I grow here. And I'm just glad to have you here with me today. I'm all about a simple living garden lifestyle, so if that strikes a chord with you, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel and go ahead and leave comments on my videos so we can get to know each other. I love interacting with those who share a passion with me for growing perennials and establishing a food forest and embracing that permaculture mindset. Now, where have I been lately, you might be thinking, because I haven't had a video up in about 3 weeks. Well, the problem is it's been raining non-stop here in Northern California ever since Christmas. And when I say raining, I mean coming down hard. We have had flooding all over this area. In fact, a storm that ripped through here last weekend took down the internet tower for the whole region that happened to be located on the property directly behind mine, which means I am currently without internet. I have been so for a weekend. I probably will be for another, I want to say only 2 or 3 weeks, but it might be even longer. Fortunately, I had managed to find a very inexpensive, unlimited data plan for my phone just a few months ago. So I have access to the internet, but it is nearly impossible to upload videos, and it is also impossible to work on my website, which I have been very intentionally trying to finish this past month. So anyway, I've had some challenges and I've had to rearrange some priorities. And today is the first sunny day we've had. So of course I had to get out here and shoot a quick video for you guys to let you know where I've been, what's been going on, and to let you take a peek at the garden here in January 2023. It's a mess because I haven't been out here, of course, to work on it because of the rain, but also, one other little piece of news. Just a couple of days after Christmas, probably the only other sunny day we've had since then, my oldest son and I were outside doing some major pruning of some just massive mulberry trees I have. And we were working out here all day, and at some point during the day, I must have tweaked something in my back. I mean, I did feel a little something, but it was nothing major. However, the next day I couldn't move and I was in a great deal of pain, and I have been so for the last several weeks. I can laugh about it now because over the last couple of days, I can finally feel it starting to heal, and I can now walk without a cane. And yeah, I am healing up, but in one way, the rain was good, because if it had been sunny like this for the last few weeks, with my personality, knowing myself as I do at my age, I would have found it very difficult not to struggle outside to get to work in the sunshine, even though I was in pain and could barely move. But thankfully, the sun held off until today. And so here I am sharing with you what my garden looks like. And today I just wanted to focus a little bit on perennials. I plant more and more of them every year, and I'm really intentionally planting a lot more this year than ever before. And that's because I'm just wanting to expand the permaculture nature of my whole property, and because I want to stop growing anything that I am not really using to the full extent in my preserving and baking and cooking. And you know, why would I grow those things, you might think? Well, probably because other people are growing them and they look so cool and interesting and I want to try them out. But you know, if I don't like them, and the few kids that are still here at home with me, if they don't like them, well, not really a point to grow them, right? They're just taking up valuable real estate. Let's grow what we know does well here, and what we know we enjoy eating, and what really lasts through the winter. And yeah, let's get going and see what's here, what's not, and what I recommend you grow for perennials where you live. This time of year, the garden to me looks a little sad, or at least it always has in the past. I'm trying to gain a new perspective and see good things and see potential. because that's what it is for me. I don't grow a lot in the winter. Maybe in the future that'll change, but up till now, I've taken the winter as a break from annuals and just concentrated on perennials, and that's what I think I want to do more so in the future. Plus, you see those pots back there? I've always done a mixture of in-ground raised beds, hugelkulturs, and containers, but I am going to be switching it up quite a bit this year, and you're going to see far less containers. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing when we move up that way. But first, what is going on right here? In this pathway, none of this stuff has been planted. This is all volunteers in my walkway. Now this happened because I grow a lot of self-seeding prolific herbs like this German chamomile you're seeing, and like this oregano, which is all over the place. So it also happened because I let it, in the sense that I did not top up my paths with wood chips. Not this year, not last year. And to be honest, I can't even remember if I did it the year before that. So it's way overdue. And I have the wood chips. I've got several heaping piles out front. I just need to do the work and bring them back here. And then I wouldn't have, as many volunteers. The other types of volunteers that I have going on are lots and lots of borage, which is a great nutritional plant, both to eat. The young leaves taste like cucumbers. The flowers are edible, the pretty blue star flowers, especially if you candy them. But also in the ground. The borage roots themselves feed into your soil, building nitrogen into it. And this can also be done through chop and drop. So all these volunteers here, I'm going to be pulling them up, or rather not pulling them up. I'm going to leave the roots in the ground building into the soil, but I'm going to be chopping right at ground level all of these leaves and putting them into my soil beds. The rest of January and the first week or so of February, I'm going to be building up my beds by adding things like chop and drop from these borage volunteers and other plants I've still got. Like I have excess artichoke leaves. So I need to get in there and dig out all those little pups. And I might keep one or two plants in here, but the rest I'm going to be moving down into my fruit tree guilds because I experimented last year. And the artichokes did not only very well in my front fruit orchard, but the rabbits did not bother the artichokes down there at all. In fact, they're growing strong today. These little tiny starts I put down there in the spring, I expect them to take off pretty soon when we get some more heat, and I expect to see some beautiful globe artichokes from all of these. Artichokes, although I love to eat them, you know what I love even more? I love the gorgeous purple flowers that they send out. I mean, they're huge. They're unlike pretty much anything I've ever grown, and the bees absolutely adore them. So anything that draws that many bees to my garden and that, supports bees like that, I'm a big fan of. So if you're looking for good pollinator plants that feed into your soil and that also produce edibles for you, well, I highly suggest both artichoke and borage. Even though I'm still getting down into the low 30s at night, the borage is thriving and still sending out blossoms. Now, borage is hardy all the way down to zone 3 to 10. Even if your borage does die back under, say, a load of snow, it probably will have self-seeded because, as you can tell, it does that exorbitantly, and I find it everywhere. Now, again, it's not that hard to pull up. In fact, borage does not like to transplant well. I do have a video I did a year or two ago about borage, and I talk about the deep taproots it has. So yeah, it doesn't transplant well. Best to get it very young if you want to transplant it. But I find the best way is to just seed it directly in the spot you want it to go crazy, and it definitely will. Artichokes, though, they are not hardy down that low. They're perennial down to about zone 7. And these right here are 6 years old. Now, they are harder to get rid of, in my opinion, than borage. I have, as you can see, cut back the original plants several years ago, but that was not before underground they had spread to produce more. However, unlike borage, they're not seeding everywhere. I don't find them all over the garden as I do with the borage. And now that I've discovered how well they do down in the fruit orchard, they're definitely going down there to attract more bees to my fruit trees. Now my lemon verbena massive bush, monster bush, has grown like crazy. This is growth of 1 year because I cut it back down to the base every February, which I'm about to do to this now. And it shoots up and fills out just so gorgeously every year. You can't tell right now because it's lost most of its leaves. However, there are a lot of leaves on here that are still totally edible. I will be, before I cut it back, harvesting all of this and drying it to use in tea. Lemon verbena is actually, after much deliberation on my part, what I think of as absolutely the most delicious smelling plant I've ever grown or smelled anywhere. So it is only hardy as a perennial down to zone 9 where I am. So you can't grow it outside year round, year after year, unless you're in zone 9 or 10. However, you can prune it back and take it in if you would like. But also, again, it grows so much in 1 year that I highly suggest just growing new every year because it's well worth growing it, harvesting the leaves, drying them for tea for, the next whole winter, maybe even more, depending if you plant more than one bush. Everywhere is oregano, and I do need to finish cutting this back. I never did finish it. Look at it, it's overgrown down here, and some of it has probably seeded into the pathway. If so, I'll just dig that up. It transplants real easily. Greek oregano, and I have a couple other kinds too. I think I have Italian oregano. My favorite is Greek though for the taste and the prolific nature of it. I use oregano so much in cooking, and so it's really nice to be able to come out and grab a few branches fresh, and it's super easy to dry it. So I love growing this. And oregano is actually hardy down to zone 4, so you definitely can plant you some oregano. Again, my recommendation is the Greek one. Yes, more overgrown herbs. I have not worked out here since my last garden tour, which was at the end of November. That's about 6 weeks, and that's how long I've been busy with the holidays, all my kids visiting. Then as soon as they left, and my oldest son, right before he left, he and I did the massive tree pruning. Then I've been dealing with injury and the flooding and rains. So yeah, I will get to this now that I'm feeling better. Meanwhile, I wanted to show it to you because I find this is a fabulous herb that most people don't know about. This is winter savory, and I use it in stews all the time. And right nearby, it has self-seeded, a nice little plant there I'm gonna dig up and put somewhere. An echinacea flower that is long past its prime. Here's another one just about to bloom. Really, I should have cut this plant back, but again, haven't been out here, but I will. But I have to show you my chicken's absolute favorite herb, and that would be this perennial green sorrel. What a great plant! I feed these leaves to my chickens constantly. I also use them in stir fry and in soup. And occasionally I'll throw some in some salad. And this is just one plant. It is 6 years old. Now, sorrel is another plant that is hardy down to zone 3. Zone 3 to 10, this plant is perennial, so no excuse not to grow it. It needs hardly any maintenance, and it has just thrived here in this spot where it gets sun until about 1 or 2, and then it gets filtered shade the rest of the day. Now, what is this in this container? Well, these were just some of my many hundreds of overflow of Egyptian walking onions. They were all about, an inch or 2 high when I threw them in here in bunches, deciding, I would put them here for a little while and come back and plant them later. Well, that never happened. And, they took off and grew like nuts. So I need to get in there and divide them, maybe just use them. Maybe I will cut off all the greens and go ahead and dehydrate them and then crumble them. That is a great way to store and preserve your walking onions. Green onion flavor you can add to any dish any time of the year. And then the bulbs can be planted and they'll just grow right back again. I really do have them everywhere. They grow really well in these cement blocks. There we go. Nice batch of green onions to use tonight. These taste so good. Yeah, I used to feel guilty and I wouldn't want to pull them out of the ground and use them because, oh, what if I use them all up? No, that's definitely not going to happen. I have so many of these. And as my green onion videos in the past about Egyptian walking onions have shown, they propagate by sending out a bulb at the very top of the green stalk there, and you just break those little bulbils off and plant them and you have more walking onions. So it's a never-ending supply. And these are hardy down to zone 3. So what a wonderful perennial to grow. I will never need to buy onions again. I really have gotten to the point where I don't even buy bulb onions. I mean, I could grow them if I want, and sometimes I do, but these are so easy and so prolific that they've kind of just taken over onions in my cooking. And purple tree kale is something that has really taken over greens in my growing. I don't really grow any other greens other than purple tree kale and dinosaur kale now because, first of all, they're so prolific. Secondly, they are perennial. I've had these for 4 years at least, maybe more. And third, they're so delicious. I like them far better than any other kale I've ever tasted. Now, this is a tree kale. Right now, they're only about 5.5, 6 feet tall. Sometimes they get up to 8 or 10 before the wind or I break them off. Now, that major storm we had last week that took out the internet, well, it took down some of the branches from this tree. Here's one here. It's hanging on, see, right there. And as long as it's hanging on even by a thread, the kale will still be just fine. But what I do when it has broken off like this, and here's another example, is I just plant it in the ground as a cutting. Purple tree kale and dinosaur kale grow fabulous as cuttings. One other fun thing about purple tree kale is that the birds absolutely love it. So often I'll look out my kitchen window or I'll be in another part of the garden and I'll look over and I'll see, 4 or 5 birds just sitting in the purple tree kale bushes, and they are just going to town chomping away. And I'm happy to provide that for them. That's why I grow them all over the place. Now, here's some cuttings I threw in here a few months ago. You can see where the birds have been just eating away at them. But this is a really healthy cutting here, nice and full. And as you look down here, you can see it actually has 5 or 6 little stalks. Well, each one of these I could cut down at the base, and each one could become its own purple tree kale growing 6 to 10 feet tall by the end of the summer. And they are the sweetest, as the birds will tell you, in the winter. Now, purple tree kale and dinosaur kale and many other varieties of kales and collards, well, they're hardy down to zone 6 or 7, and they do fine here in zone 9B, even in our hot, dry summer. This would definitely be a plant, though, that you could grow and enjoy. And then as it comes into winter, if you feel like you're a lower zone than zone 6 and you don't think it's going to last, well, take some cuttings, put them in some 1-gallon pots and bring them into a protected area, maybe your garage, and they will be ready to go come spring when your ground warms up just a bit. Remember, in the winter, they are the sweetest. I would even grow these indoors if I lived somewhere that was too cold to grow them anywhere else in the winter. They're that good. Well, my peppermint bush is looking a bit ragged. I need to trim it up a little, maybe cut out some clumps like these and take them down into the orchard. I would not mind if they grow all over down there. I wonder if the rabbits will enjoy them. We'll see, I guess. Now, the olive tree seedlings that had volunteered out front in different places, I mean, they come up everywhere around here. That's what happens when you have, 100 olive trees that are huge and over a century old. The birds drop those olives everywhere, and yes, we get seedlings. And so this one has grown up interestingly. I need to do some pruning on it, decide how I want it to grow. Take a look at this one over here, though. Just loving how full this one has gotten, even though it's taking over the whole area. I'm gonna actually probably move it out somewhere, I'm not sure, but
I don't need to plant it in the ground. I have too many olive trees. Why was I even growing seedlings? Well, you know, in case I move, I need to take some olive trees with me because I'm Olive City Homestead. But yeah, I need to find a place for this one where it can be a nice, you know, feature piece. It's very pretty, and I like the way it's widened out. And you can really prune these however you want, into whatever shape you want. Most olive trees are multi-trunked. They're actually more beautiful that way, in my opinion, but you can prune them to one trunk. Got a variety of things here that are hanging on. Oh, I wanted to show you my rhubarb. Got a little bit there coming back already. Some coming back here and here. Definitely going to get in there and divide these. And this is where I'm going to be making some changes. Right, ladies? Gonna make some changes. Yeah, I have a lot of things in containers for various reasons. The rhubarb I have in probably 6 different containers because I was testing it out in different spots, different microclimates around the garden. And I finally decided I think I know where it likes to grow. Because it's definitely been a challenge for me growing this here where it gets to be 110, 115 degrees in the summer and such intense dry heat. So this spot right next to my chicken's olive orchard. My olive orchard is divided in 2 and they're in the south side of it. And right next to it, I have shade, filtered shade anyway, most of the day. It's definitely probably 33% sun and 66% shade most of the day. And the rhubarb seems to really like it. So I'm going to be taking my rhubarb out of my containers and I'm going to be making a bed here by this fence strictly for rhubarb. And I'm really excited about that. Right, girls? What do you think of that? Yeah, sounds like a good idea to me too. And of course, rhubarb is perennial down to zone 3. It's only supposed to grow to zone 8, but I am making this little section of my yard a zone 8 microclimate. And that's how I'm going to get my rhubarb because, boy, I made rhubarb jam this fall and I had forgotten. It had been a while since I'd made it and I'd forgotten just how much I love it. Now, other things you can grow perennially and that spread underground so you can divide them, of course, are asparagus, as well as the artichoke, which we already talked about. And I do have some asparagus. You'll have to take my word for it, though, because there's barely a sign of it in the bed. But I tell you, there's a lot of asparagus in here, and it's come back every year so far, and I see a few signs of it there. Asparagus is hardy down to zone 3. It's actually supposed to only be good to zone 8. However, I've been growing it here for 4 years. I think this will be the 4th year now. And that's why I think I get to actually harvest some spears this year. And it's done fine. I think because this part of the backyard where it's in gets shade from about 2:30 p.m. on. So it doesn't have to endure the high intense heat all day like the lower part of the garden does. Now back here along the fence line where the ducks live, I have a variety of purple tree kale and dinosaur kale. I'm going to be taking a lot of cuttings from the dinosaur kale here. So it's 2 multi-stem trunks, but as you can see, it has a lot of little branches coming off of it, and each of these could be their own cloned dinosaur kale. And I'm definitely going to be doing that. Do you know why? Well, it's the same reason that this plant looks kind of scraggly and sparse. It only looks that way because I've been feeding it to my ducks. You know, they're right over the fence. And dinosaur kale is absolutely their favorite thing to eat. So I want to grow more of it just for them. See, they just love it. I'm so excited because in a few weeks, in the middle of March, I'm going to be getting some baby ducklings and some baby chicks. Gotta add to my flock. It's going to be fun. I love baby ducks and baby chicks. They're so cute. And along with that will come more eggs because, I mean, have you seen the price of eggs lately? Crazy. Yeah. So definitely going to spoil my ducks. Got to grow some more dinosaur kale for them. Get one day of sunshine And the plants are like, it's spring, right? It's spring. It's like 59 and there's sun out. It must be spring. It's like, no, no, don't jump the gun, plants. I'm getting excited too, though. It's time to plant my seeds. It is 8 weeks right now from my last supposed frost date of March 17th. What's your last frost date where you live? Are you thinking about what seeds you're going to be planting? I'm being very careful this year in what I plant. I will be growing far less, if any, of certain things, such as no eggplant. I hate to say this, but no okra. You know why I hate to say it? Because I feel like I should like okra. I've tried so hard, but I just don't. And I kept growing them because it was like, well, the flowers are so pretty. But now I've decided, wait. Why am I growing them when I can grow red roselle hibiscus? They have the same gorgeous flowers and make the most amazing jam in the universe. So yeah, I'm going to be growing a ton of red roselle hibiscus this year. And as you can see here, I have 2 new fig trees to plant. Now, I have a huge, very productive brown turkey fig, of which I've taken a few cuttings a couple of years ago, and those are now young little fig trees that are doing well. And I have a tiger panache and a strawberry type fig, and I just couldn't resist, though. I got a violet de Bordeaux fig. This one is hardy down to zone 5. And it produces a very deep red strawberry pulp with a distinctive sweet, rich flavor. Very hardy. Obviously, if it goes down to zone 5, self-fruitful, as figs are. And I guess I was thinking, well, I love figs. And also, if I move, this would be a fig tree that would grow well in a colder zone. Those of you who have told me, you can't grow this and you can't grow that of the fruit trees I have, well, you could grow that fig. And what do we got here? This one, let's see. Oh, a Peter's honey fig. I've heard so many good things about this. And this one's hardy down to zone 6. So again, can handle a lot colder than I get here, that's for sure. This one has a greenish yellow fruit, very sweet, dark amber flesh, high quality. And I've heard they are delicious too, scrumptious really. So yeah, one of my goals this year is to experiment, which I love doing in the kitchen, and learn to make a really good fig Newton type of cookie with these. So yes, one of the main things I'm going to be doing this year, I've decided, is to plant the bulk of these things that are in containers, my crepe myrtles, these wonderful wallflower plants, just so many of the things, my snapdragons, my sweet bay tree, and my dappled willow tree. I'm going to be planting these things in the ground. I've decided I really want to go for it. I'm not going to hold off any longer. I've experimented long enough to see where things do well, and that would include the many bearded irises that I have back here in containers. I've learned that they need more sun than they got back here, and so now I know where they're going to bloom. I'm going to transplant them all either this coming month, or I might wait until the fall. I haven't decided yet. But you cannot do everything, can you? So I'll be picking and choosing and prioritizing, as we all need to do. I know one thing that's definitely going in the ground. After I get the fence done, I'm planting these gorgeous honeysuckle vines. Oh, look! There's one little blossom, but they're 2 different varieties, and they have different color blossoms, but both are gorgeous. Now, some of the other volunteers that I have been getting here are these gorgeous ruby red lettuces, which there were far more of them, but we have been eating them and enjoying them. And then in my little flower walkway, I'm gonna have to do something, because gorgeous as it is, the oregano, look at that, is just taking over. I didn't even have oregano planted here. These bulbs coming up, I believe, are freesia, and I can't wait for them to blossom. There's some more ruby red lettuce volunteering, and these, of course, are gazania. Yes, they also self-seed everywhere, but they're really easy to dig up and transplant. I have them in all different colors. In this section of the yard, they are this deep orange striped, kind of like tiger lilies in the form of gazanias. But yeah, the oregano, dude, I cut it back so much. It had grown all the way across the steps, and I cut it way back. I need to do more, obviously. Okay, guys, it's rough, but it's ready for spring. It's ready for me to get in there and start working, and I'm excited about doing that. I know there's a lot more of the garden behind me and on the sides that I haven't shown you, but my back's getting pretty tired, so I'm gonna call it a day, and I will be back with you really soon with more videos now that the weather's clearing up and now that I'm healing up. So thanks for joining me today, everyone. I'm really glad you did, and I promise I have so many more videos coming your way. And please comment below. Let me know who you are, where you're gardening, and what some of your favorite perennials are to grow, and why you like them so much. Maybe I want to give them a try. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. That will really encourage YouTube and the algorithm to share my channel with others who might be interested in these kinds of topics. I really want to encourage people to get out and garden the things they like to eat, the things they like to enjoy. Just seeing and experiencing nature therapy is a real thing, and you can have it in your own backyard. In fact, that reminds me to remind you that you can create the life and the garden and the homestead of your dreams, whatever that might be. So why not start right now? Have a great week, everyone, and I will see you next time. I don't even know what that is. Some kind of flower. It definitely likes this container against the house. Very pretty. That would make a good ground cover. I need to figure out what that is. I need to plant it on my slope over there that's covered in weeds. And instead, I could be growing this gorgeous little flower.